Hi, and welcome back to Eagle Eye Builds. My name's John, and this is the miter station I've been working on for the last few weeks. I'm going to finally show you the saw itself actually being installed and the shop vac and everything else for dust collection. So sit back, relax, and hope you enjoy. As promised, we're going to start working on the modifications I need to do here to my miter station for the actual saw itself. I did some measurements, and my saw is 3 inches and 5/8 high, and this is 4 inches and 3/4. So I'm gonna have to raise this up at least 1 inch, maybe 1 1/8 inches, depending on how close I want to get it. I may go 1 inch just so I can shim it up the rest of the way. But as you can see here, that's going to be an issue. So my plan is to take this outlet out, rerun a new one up here, because I want some power strips to go here for some other tools. And then I also want to drop power down underneath so I can plug in the shop vac and some other things on there. So let me walk you through those things here quick, and then we can kind of get into the fun electrical stuff. So I bought one of these auto switches. I don't know if you're familiar with them at all. It's an automatic vacuum switch. What you do is you can plug your tool into it, your saw, plug it into the wall, and then plug your shop vac also in here. And then when your saw turns on, automatically turns your shop vac on, saw goes off, shop vac goes off. So it's a nice little thing to have. Because the intent is I'll have this installed, and then once I get the shop vac and everything else installed here, I'm gonna put doors on this so you can kind of hide it so you can't see it. So, all right, so let's get into it. I guess first thing is first, we're gonna move this, and then we'll get electrical. So I take the top off here. I just had 4 screws attached to the top itself, and once I had those out, then I could take the rest of the screws for the frame. I just screwed it directly into each of the cabinets on the right and left side. No need to go in the back part of that. Now all screws are out. I can slide that top out of there and put that off to the side. And now it takes me a little bit to get this frame out. I forgot how tight it was when I first put it in. It really snug in the backside, and just my brute force. If I was afraid to pull too hard, that I would actually snap the frame itself. So it's made out of plywood, so I needed a little extra leverage. So I went over and grabbed myself a pry bar and gingerly tried to take it out without doing too much damage to it or the wall. But after a little persuasion, a little patience, it did finally come loose for me, and I got that out. And then from there, I went over to the electrical. So I started taking the old outlet out, make sure the circuit was off. I just cut off the old outlet, and then I went and grabbed my multi-tool to cut out the fasteners holding in the box and removing that. And then from there, I got my multi-tool out and just cut out the hole in the bottom, the hole on the top for the new outlets. So next I'm going to actually install the boxes. The boxes are what they call old work as opposed to new work. Old work since you're going to an existing, little clamps on here. So, and this, all that smoke from cutting the old 70s wood paneling, well, it's actually probably about 3/4 inch thick MDF. So. Last smoke. So from there, I needed to try to fish a string line down so I could actually attach that to the main power of the circuit. So I could pull that up to the top box. I'm going to power the top box there, and then I'm going to run a line down to the bottom box to power the other outlet. I'm not going to bore everybody with the details of the electrical, but pretty straightforward. Then I put the boxes in and get those all. They worked out really great. And I got one on the top and bottom, and then magically outlets are in and the covers are going on. I was able to take one of the pieces I cut out and fit it in the old hole and put some wood putty on it. Alright, so now the electrical's all done. I have the hole patched up, all painted up. And before I actually put my top in, what I'm going to do is install this. This will be the controller that will plug into the power, then your saw will plug in one side, shop vac on the other. This will actually turn on the shop vac anytime I use the saw. So we'll go ahead and get that installed here next. So pretty straightforward installation here. Just 2 screws, 1 screw on top, 1 screw on the bottom. I just kind of lined it up with the outlet, and once it's all screwed in place, just plug and play, ready to go. And then from there, it's a matter of putting it back together again. Put the frame back in at the new location to get me as close as I could get, and get that screwed in. And then once that's screwed in, I'm just going to take the top and place it in place to start. All right, moment of truth. How close are we? Pretty close. I was close enough that what I ended up doing is just taking some washers and just screwing it to the frame on both sides, and then put the top right back on top. And from there, I wanted to get these power strips installed. Pretty simple. I got them at Harbor Freight. Screw on the left, screw on the right. I'll put them kind of in line with that molding of the window. So this is one on the left. Went in pretty simple. And then I'm over on the right hand side, getting the last one in. Next, I'm going to do some cord management for my wires. One of the things kind of my pet peeves. I hate having cords hanging everywhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this cable underneath here over to the plug-in. I'll do the same thing on the other side. We'll have to bunch some of that up. I have these little wire management clips I got, I think, someplace on Amazon that work really well. Kind of keep them out of the way and keep it straight. While I'm putting this wire management up here, I would love for you guys to take time to like and subscribe, leave me a comment. Really do appreciate everyone's support over the last few weeks through these projects, as I get myself all nice and neat here and tend to my OCD-ness. Alright, so before I mount the top on for the monitor station itself, I'm going to build out this last section here. I was kind of waiting until I had my shop vac and everything in place to make sure everything fit correctly. I'm not going to build this out like a full cabinet. I'm just going to add some pieces in to give me some support, so it still looks like there's a toe kick all the way across, and the fronts of the cabinet line up with all the other cabinets. So let me step you through what that's going to look like. Essentially what I'm going to make here is just a little kind of half toe kick spacer frame. So this is what I did for the rest of the cabinets too. It's just some 3/4 inch plywood, cut to the same height as everything else, and just pinned together. This is a little bit of like the toe kick that I just built. Pretty simple. It's just going to go in here. It just needs to be some support to add the rest of the pieces to it. Fits in nice, it'll slide in, and we'll make it flush both sides. And attach it with some brad nails. Make sure it's all flush since everything's been level. I have this little shim here, scrap piece I have, and we're just gonna pin this in place. So now I can make essentially a frame of the base cabinet. So this is gonna kind of represent the toe kick itself, and then give me basically a mounting surface to put the doors on. So again, 3/4 inch plywood, same basic idea as I did the toe kick, glue and some nails. Pretty simple. So now we're ready to install kind of like the frame of the base cabinet itself. Really, it's there to kind of complete the toe kick, and then also give some spacing and mounting places for the hinges when I attach the fronts. And this will slide in just like that. So I just want to make sure I line this up here so it's flush with the actual front of the other cabinet all the way down. And I'm going to attach these with screws. I had the saw centered where I want it. I did it far enough off the back, gives me plenty of room. I did 3D print myself this adapter here that'll actually fit on here and then fit on the hose for the shop vac. It's a fairly snug fit. I think I'll probably have to tighten this up, maybe with some electrical tape just to give it a little snugger, or maybe find some type of Teflon tape to go around the outside. For now, it's gonna work. I can always refine it later. But right now I want to get it lined up, figured out where I need to drill my hole for the actual hose and for power. So let's figure that out next. I was looking at going dead center, but I forgot that I actually have a center support for the frame I built for this top that goes right down the middle. So that's not going to work. So I'm thinking I'm going to favor this side. I'm just going to use that same basic spacing over here. This will be the outside edge, and that should miss the center support. So I may favor it a little bit, maybe a 1/4 inch that way. Should have plenty of room. I got lots of hose to go with. So this hole saw I used worked really good. It cut really well through this particle board, and then I did a quick cleanup so then I could get the saw reinstalled and get the wire down, and then bring my hose up and then attach that and my adapter to the saw. Alright, so what I have here are the doors. I cut them out. This is actually the left door. This is the right door. I got the tops towards me, and the outside is where I'm going to put the hinges. So we're going to go ahead and get that all straightened out. Inside this jig, you can see in there, there's a little groove in there for the center. I'm just going to line that up with my line I drew. And just put one clamp on it, should be enough. So I'm using this Craig jig to do all these holes for the hinges themselves. It makes it a lot easier to do this. It's a lot more repeatable. And then once you have it lined up, you can go ahead and get all of your hinge holes drilled out. One thing I did forget to do, there is other places here for some pilot holes for the hardware. Now it's time to install the hinges. These are frameless hinges, since that's the kind of cabinets I have here in the shop. Not to be confused with a faced frame cabinet, so the hinges are different. So pretty simple once you have these all drilled out. Just a matter of shooting the screws in and you're good to go. Install the inside part of the hinge. I like to just leave it on the door. Try to even it up where I feel it should line up here flush with the bottom of the door next to it. Makes it easier. I'm just going to make one little mark there. Drill a little pilot hole. Install these screws in here. Something down here. Mark that one. So I have reference. Right, and just do the same on the bottom. I like to try to go about the center of the oblong. Gives you some wiggle room up and down if you need to. Close her up, doesn't look too bad. All right, and now we're gonna put some hardware on my fronts. These are the only poles I have around. They're not quite the same as everything else, but they're pretty close, same spacing. So how I do that, I actually have a jig I made years and years ago on probably a kitchen remodel. Have different holes in it, but these two holes here line up what I need, and it makes it real easy to actually just set it on and then take your drill and drill your holes until you can put your hardware on. So let's do that. So let's go ahead and drill both the holes here. Pretty straightforward. Screws go on, and I'm using like a ratcheting screwdriver here to attach them. So what's left to do now is get the shaft back in place, plugged in, saw plugged in. I did go with a BAUER 9-gallon, 4.5 horsepower. I'm not putting the casters on it just so it takes up less of a footprint, but this has pretty decent CFM, so we're gonna get this guy installed here. So I'm getting the hose hooked in, everything plugged in. I may end up cutting that hose a little shorter because I do have a lot of extra. Now moment of truth, see if it works. So that's the completion of the miter station. I went with a 10-inch saw here as opposed to a 12-inch because I want to be able to share the blade with this saw and my table saw since they're both 10-inch. I would like a slider eventually, but right now the stock that I usually cut down, I think 10-inch will be enough for what I need. Again, I'll leave a description and links to everything I've used below of the video of making all this. I appreciate any comments, questions. I would love to get a like and a subscription. It'd be really great. The channel's really growing now, and your support is greatly appreciated. So stick around. There's more to come. That's pretty much this side of the garage. Next is the other side, which needs a lot of work still. All right. Thanks again. Take care, everybody.